I'm wondering if you have screenings, because when I cut a film, I have a lot of screenings, and I'm always reading the temperature of people.
Oh yeah, I have lots of screenings.
You do, okay.
Yeah, it's hugely helpful to screen something because I mean, being an editor you have to be in a bizarre mental state a lot of the time, where you're looking at something over and over again for years as if you're seeing it for the first time. So it's like a constant, like, arduous act of imagination, and you have to then kind of imagine an imaginary viewer watching it for the first time, and you have to imagine what they're going to be curious about. And so I don't actually write it down, but in my mind I have like a little kind of focus group chart, like an emotional through line of where the audience is, and what's funny, and
I say what you're talking about is even harder if you're then the director and the editor, right? I mean, does it make it a little bit more intense? Because
it's easier when I'm the director and editor because I can just fight with myself. But it's when you have a director and editor and the director disagrees, or the director is kind of embracing a concept or is shy about something, or then you end up, in the ideal situation, you're both fighting for a better film. In the bad situation, you end up fighting each other.
But in terms of getting the distance, it's harder, I think, particularly if you also shoot. I also shoot. So if I'm editing footage that I've shot, I really depend on showing it to other people, because there are things that I might think that it's communicating because I know these people and I've been in the room and I was there when that happened. But, just because it happened doesn't mean you got it. And that's something that's worth.
I have that fight with directors all the time because they feel things that I believe that they felt it when they were there, and it just doesn't read in the footage. And that's a really big challenge that one has with the directors.
The first thing I do when I start editing someone else's film is I watch every frame of it. Yeah. And for me, I don't care how they got it or what the backstory is. Most of the time, sometimes there might be something really interesting, especially if I'm watching something and it's totally confusing. But it's like you're working from that material. That's what you're going to use to build the movie. I mean, what's interesting, if you think about editing, if you're writing a script, the end result of that process is, a sales brochure or a roadmap for a trip that somebody might never take. If you're directing a movie, the end result is a mass of footage that doesn't make any sense to anyone. But the end result of of editing is always a movie. So in some ways, it's like the most satisfying part of the process.
Or agonizing.
Because when you're shooting, you're like, they'll figure that out in the edit room.
Right.
In the edit room, you're like, well, I guess we'll
fix it in post.
Yeah, exactly.
I worked on a film, Smile Till It Hurts, about the Up With People story. And the director was thrilled. She's like, we went to the reunion, and it was a cult. It was like Scientology, and you wait till you see this footage, and we're going to open the film with this, and it's like their mind control. And I watched the footage, and it was a reunion. It was a camp reunion with like nice, middle of the country, overweight, middle-aged people, breaking bread. And she really saw a cult, and it really wasn't. To your point, that what you see in the film that's what you have to trust, what's there.
And I was going to say, I think testing is super important. I mean, I pull people and work across the hall. Is this funny? What are you getting out of this? But I think the other challenge is that people have different tastes and people are different. And so knowing what to listen to after you've tested something is also important, because you can show it and some people say, I wish it was more of this. And then you should do that. And then somebody else says, I wish it was more of that. And so kind of for me, what I try to do is, if I hear something, it's like if 3 people tell you you're drunk, sit down, right? Like exactly. If I hear something over and over, even if I don't believe it, it's probably the case. But as much that, also there are things where I kind of knew it, but I was hoping I was going to be able to sneak it by the audience. And as soon as somebody says it, or sometimes they don't even need to say it. Sometimes it's just being in a room with somebody watching something that you tried to do that was tricky, and instantly, okay, that didn't work. I can't do that.
The other thing too for screenings is I never listen to I never listen to anyone's solutions. I just listen to their problems. unless they're editors.
Right. You watch their faces, or you pick up the vibe in a room when you're watching a movie. Yeah, it's like, and you see it too. You see it differently. You see it through their eyes.
Yeah.
You know, and you can instantly know, oh, this is too long.